What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out Higher Thought Gaming. We are going to be getting into the power sword, and we're going to take a deep dive in on the perks, and we're going to talk about some combos and just overall how you're going to want to make this weapon the best it can possibly be. So when we're getting into the perks right here, now what we're really left with here is like 3 perks that you're really going to want to discuss and understand. Everything else is really damage multipliers. So the 3 perks that we're really going to get into here is going to be Master of Offense. It is going to be Tranquility, because a lot of people think this is something that it's not. And then also our Cutting Edge for our power rake damage. So we'll start it off right here with our Master of Offense and why we are taking that over Master of Defense, which Master of Defense is not bad. So both of these, after you switch your power styles, one of them will give you 20% range damage reduction, and then the other will give you 20% more melee damage. So the reason why you want to take the melee damage is going to be because you can tie this on to both classes that can use this weapon, some of their most powerful attacks. So when it comes to the assault, you can tie this onto your ground pound. You switch your sword style right before you take off for your ground pound, and you're going to have a free 20% damage added onto it. And then similar with the bulwark, if you want to tie this onto your shield rush, you can do that as well. You would switch your stances, and then you would go straight into your shield rush to grab that 20% more melee damage, and this does apply to both of those attacks. And even if you're using a blocking power sword, if you're able to get 2 blocks off, get your charge, and then get your charge hit, you can switch your stance right before your charged hit and take advantage of it that way as well. It's definitely very good for the ground pound and for the shield rush. I think it ties perfectly to those two, and that is why I prefer it over Master of Defense. And as I said, you can really take advantage of this one more intentionally than the other. And when we are looking at Tranquility here, now a lot of people think this is when you are in like the power stance of your sword, and this is when you are actually charging up your power whirl attack. So that is, we'll talk about the combos, and then we'll talk about the power whirl attack, so you kind of know when you have knockback resistance. But this perk sounds a lot better than it actually is, guys. I just wanted people to be aware of that. And then finishing it up with our last one here, Cutting Edge, that is 100% must take, is going to be our power rake. Deals 50% more melee damage. The power rake damage is pretty insane since patch 9, I think it was, when they patched it. And it hits extremely hard, guys. And it has good distance on it. So it's a very powerful attack. And that's really what you're trying to get to as much as you can when it is coming to the power sword. So we are going to go over some combos here, and then we'll go over a little bit of gameplay and just talk through about some of the different ways that you can use the perks that we just discussed and really help you out when you are using this weapon. Okay, we are going to get into some very basic stuff when it comes to the power sword before we move on to some more advanced stuff, so you kind of understand exactly what's going on. So for the sword itself, extremely powerful in the game, guys. It has 2 different styles. Your speed style right here, which is better single target direct damage. And then you have your power style, which is wide sweeping attacks. That is very good for like Minoris and just horde crowd control in general. So when we're talking about the 2 different styles here, you are getting in and out of them by holding down your attack button. And that is just going to switch them for you. While you're sprinting, it'll do the same thing. And then one of the more important ways to switch your styles here is going to be with a dodge. So you're going to dodge and then hold your attack down, and it's going to switch your style into an attack. Now, why something like this is very good, we do have a 20% melee multiplier added on to switching our sword styles. So with that, you're going to be able to attack into right there your power rake, and you will have your 20% multiplier added on, and you can sometimes get 2 off. So your power rake is by holding down your attack button after any attack. So any string of attacks, any combo that you're putting together on the speed style sword or the power style sword can be ended in a power rake at any time. All you have to do is hold down your attack button, do your heavy attack, and you can do 2. So if you want to get off 2 power rakes, you can do that. And as I said before, that is one of your most important attacks. Does a ton of damage, goes through enemies, hits multiple enemies, so it is very good. Now, every other attack besides the power rake will end in your power whirl stance, and that is where we were talking about with that perk Tranquility. That's where you will have your knockback resistance during this. It's right after you pause after any attack besides a power rake. You're going to load up and then you can do that attack right there, which is your Power Whirl attack. Now, damage-wise, this is not a bad attack. It actually hits on the sweep around and then also on the dive down. But the problem is you will take a ton of damage loading it up and spinning, and just it can get you into trouble is basically what I'm saying. So you have to be very careful when it comes to the Power Whirl attack. And overall, the Power Rake is the attack that you want to play into more. I'm not saying never use your Power Whirl. It is a good attack. They did add damage onto it in the last few patches. So it's definitely worth working into your gameplay. Just find the specific times when it's really beneficial and things like that. Okay, with all the basic stuff more or less out of the way, we'll get into a little bit more of the combos that you're going to want to string together. Now, as I said before, guys, Power Rake is really what you're looking to get to, but we'll go over just some different things like how to change your stance during your fights and stuff like that. So one of the better ways to do this is going to be into your dodge attack that we talked about earlier. You dodge into your heavy attack, and like after something like a Power Rake, it'll look like this. You'll just dodge straight backwards, go straight into your heavy attack off of your dodge, and then that is going to just switch your styles and kind of just keep you fighting as well. So there is one more way that you can use. It's not as useful. It was useful before, a lot more than it is now, but your style your style change could actually cancel out a parry. So it looks like that. You know, right when you start your parry, you can basically cancel it out with the style change. Now, where that does kind of come into use later is going to be like during a Power Rake. You can end your Power Rakes a little early, and you can switch your styles, and you don't have to start with an attack. You can kind of go where you want to go after that instead of having to start with a diving attack. So you Power Rake, you parry, you switch your sword style while you're parrying. It's going to change your stance, and it's going to keep you fighting like very quickly. It basically cancels you out before the Power Rake animation almost even gets midway through, and then you're just switching your styles and going from there. So that is more advanced. You don't want to use that all the time, but it does definitely work. Now, when we are going into some of the things that we are going to play off of our perks here, the main one is our 20% extra melee damage added onto our weapon. You're seeing the icon up there to the top left with the little arm strength guy, or the arm strength thing. We are going to be taking advantage of that when we're on the assault with our ground pounds, and then when we are on the bulwark, we will be using it for our shield rush mostly. So, and also just even switching styles like off your sprint, like I said, that's going to give you these two Power Rakes. As you see, my 20% still going, and it lasts quite a long time. So, okay, but what we're doing here is we are wanting to tie this into our ground pounds and our shield rushes. And with our fencing weapon, it's extremely easy. How you're going to want to do it is all you want to do. If you know you're going up for a ground pound, you just switch the style of your sword, and there you go. Even if you have the full charge onto your ground pound, it still lasts long enough for you to still add that 20% melee damage onto one of your most powerful attacks. So that's the main thing you really want to use your sword 20% multiplier for, is trying to get that added onto some of your main attacks here. So some of those are going to be definitely good with the blocking sword, because what you can do is you can grab your two blocks, and then after you get your block charge, then you're really going to find some positioning, change your sword, and then you can go up for your ground pound. You're going to grab your block multipliers and your 20% damage, and those are extremely hard hitting. And it's the same thing with shield rush, guys. If you get two blocks with the power sword, and then you switch your power styles, get your 20% added onto that next shield rush, it is going to hit extremely hard as well. So leave in the comments anything I left out, anything you think other people should know. But I do think this will go a long way in kind of helping people really tie into what is working best with the power sword right now in patch 10. It's really going to be your Power Rakes, and that is really what's going to pull you through. You're going to want to build your gameplay around that. Power Whirl when you can, but as I said, right now, Power Rake is king, and you do want to make sure you are tying your style changes into your most powerful melee attacks to really take advantage of having that perk active.
silence the Tyranids' vile chittering. Load up! No going for me. No Xenos monster.